Okay, I'll have to check like what day it is in terms of numbers for Nofap, but ironically enough, today, even though I got a really solid amount of sleep, I'm actually running late. It's kind of weird because, ironically enough, not to overuse that word, but it's like the days that I don't get that much sleep, I don't know, it's almost like I'm more motivated to get going because maybe I feel like I'm behind, and then I end up, hurrying to work because maybe I get that sort of sense of, oh my god, I'm oversleeping or overslept or, gotta get going. But when I'm more well rested and relaxed, then it's kind of like, okay, I'm more prone to, continuing to relax, and not a good idea when I gotta be somewhere at a certain time. But this probably like the first time in several weeks, and it's not like I'm gonna be rolling in, 15, 20, 25, 30 minutes late. It'd probably be like a minute or two, maybe 5 minutes at most. Not good, but not terrible, so to speak. Especially since I typically jump right into action and figure out what I gotta do, and I go and get my work done. But anyways, I had a sort of cool dream last night, which is kind of I guess almost like weird in some sense, but it might have been inspired by the fact of Daft Punk apparently breaking up. I hadn't really been following them for any significant time recently. I remember back in 8th grade, 9th grade, back when they were, I think they were still kind of big for up till recently, I guess, but back when they had some of their major hits, and one of my coworkers was like, really sad that they're breaking up, and she had to put on the video of them breaking up, and maybe that's what kind of inspired my dream, where I was dreaming about some of my favorite bands and how they were kind of hanging out and talking about how, well, if we hadn't lost this member, Freddie Mercury from Queen, or some of the members of the Monkees, they would have ended up collaborating on some sort of album. And then I think one of them was, I don't know if he was joking or not, but he said, oh, well, actually this guy, he really didn't like that other guy who was in your band, and we wouldn't have collaborated or something like that. And it was like that song Fortress by Pinback started kind of playing in the background. It was a strange dream because usually if I've had dreams where it's been something really of emotional impact, it's kind of been stuff about the usual, the past, stuff that's happened, or just bad memories or things I've been basically obsessing about. But this time was not that one of those times. It's almost like because things have been changing, in this life, days getting taken care of, working, making money, knocking these days down in Nofap. It's like my mindset is changing and what I'm thinking about, and what's really sort of impactful to me has been changing. So I don't want to switch lanes and go a little faster. Oh, the reason I kind of trailed off there for a bit was because there was a popo in the lane next to mine, and I didn't want him to see that I'm not on my phone, but I'm recording, so you got all these laws against that. I get why they do. Just that I didn't want to have some fiascos. So yeah, and having to pay attention to the road, the cars in front of me, behind me, to my right, my left, and looking out for popos, But hold on a second, I gotta turn off the air. I got a decent amount of sleep. I'd say like between 7 and 8 hours, which is usually like the right amount. I was extremely exhausted. I somehow got that last problem done, though I did not submit it. And I thought it was due tonight, yet again, but like the due date was moved to Friday. I'm gonna still submit tonight. Just get that out of the way. I don't want that to be hanging there in the background or in the back of my mind. I want to be able to say, okay, I got it done, I submitted it, and I can just not have to think about it. Especially since we have a couple of in-class assignments there due tonight. And what else? We have that quiz today. And I almost had to run back to my room to try and search for a calculator at the last second. It's probably something I should have done last night, but again, I was so exhausted. I had that interview and all that, but we do have some calculators at work, and I do know that some of them are scientific, so I may just have to borrow one of those for maybe like about half an hour, and I can go back and return to the lab. So I'm hoping like, okay, I can find one of those, do that. I was gonna bring my standard printer paper, which is what I usually use to write anything down on, like for homework or notes or whatever. But I do have a notebook with lined paper, so I'll be using that. Worst case scenario, I might have to ask the professor if I can just use the calculator on my laptop, but I'd rather just make sure that I have a standard scientific calculator and just get that sort of stuff taken care of. So I'm kind of looking forward to today. I do have this one-on-one meeting with the boss lady today. Standard, every week we do that, and I'm just trying to get my work done. Sometimes I'll have to sort of socialize with the coworkers and try and joke around, but not obviously not saying anything like offensive or whatever. But it's one of those things like when you have these one-on-ones, you kind of sort of think about it in the back of your head, like, oh, did I say something, or was I not doing things a certain way or whatever. It's like you'll have to probably deal with that to a certain extent, and it's a really good idea to sort of minimize the chances of anyone having something legit to bring up against you, because you get to a point in life where it's just ain't worth it. Like I said about that the female coworker. I mean, she could be super attractive, she could be totally into me, bruh, but like it ain't worth it. Okay, it ain't worth it. I mean, you could be in a situation like that, and you could think, oh, you got your shot, or finally hit the paid, or whatever expression you want to use. But given sort of the risk versus reward, cost versus benefit, that sort of stuff just ain't worth it. And besides, like, I kind of, I've thought about it, like, and I expressed this in conversations with other people, but it's kind of like, if you're so desperate to, or you really, you want to get the girls, or you want to get that girlfriend, or you want to like get laid, it's kind of like there are places to go to, do all of that, to, get all of that. And, if you're really that, for lack of a better way of putting it, desperate, go to one of those places where you can just socialize, and the point or the purpose of that, the frame of that area, whatever it is, whether it's a club or it's why is this guy braking all the time? What are these people doing? It's like, this is supposed to be the fast lane. So it's kind of annoying me, distracting me from my point. But anyways, if you're really so dead set on that, like, go to some place where that's the case. Like, work is not the place. Think about it in terms of like psychological frame, or sort of like the ground rules. It's like you're at work to do work to make money. You're not at work to pick up chicks. To get girls or whatever. And I don't feel like spending any time on talking about double standards and all that sort of stuff. Like, I get that, and I went through that sort of phase, and I don't want to go back to that. And I really hope I don't slip back into that sort of like going on about how, well, they can do this, but I can't, sort of a thing. It is what it is, And besides, like, I don't know, like, one of the most frustrating things I dealt with in college was having stuff like that intrude into an area which, that sort of stuff wasn't supposed to be the case. Like, if you're in school, especially for something, I'll be honest, tough like engineering, your intention, right? It's to get that degree, gain that knowledge, gain those skills, right? And the one complaint I would have really is to say, like, and people will take their angle on things and say, oh, that was a bad thing, that was this or that, they'll throw their word of the day out there, whatever that is. But back in the day, there was far more, like, for lack of a better way of putting it, like, separation of the genders or the sexes, and I don't think there were as many of these issues. So much of the problem I had back then was that you had this, like, vapid narcissistic girl dropped into a area where it's predominantly at one point at least predominantly men, and we all know how guys behave when there's some girl dropped into the mix, even if she's really, like, average looking, but she's a girl, so all that kind of competition for her approval and being validated by that. Oh, I want to be her boyfriend. No, you're not going to get to be her boyfriend. I'm gonna, and that sort of thing. That really messed things up, And of course, that girl, being what she was, she really got off on that. And for the longest time, I struggled with trying to overcome that, And outwardly, I would try and give off this impression that I didn't care. I was aloof. I was focused on other things, and that of course made her try to compete for my attention, even though getting my attention wasn't going to lead anywhere. But here on this channel, I'd be talking about how I was so depressed about this or frustrated or what have you. All that being said, whether one thinks it's a great idea that their genders are separated or you're against it, that's your own opinion, and you can believe what you want. I'm not saying it's right or wrong necessarily, but one of the things I do appreciate about a lot of contemporary workplaces, at least in my experience, it's been that there's been a sort of a point made to, I guess you could say, make the risk versus reward balance such that, at least if you're smart about it, and when I mean that, I mean being smart about it in terms of understanding that this is not the place for that. It does minimize the likelihood of drama. At least stuff is related to that. Like, obviously there can be drama related to, I don't know, having a coworker who's AWOL when you're supposed to be working on something with them, or I don't know, like people trying to, like, plagiarize your work. there are other sources of drama. Let's just put it that way. But as far as drama between coworkers, because I don't know, some thirsty guy was hitting on some girl, making her uncomfortable, or two coworkers hooked up and now they're breaking up, and the breakup drama has spilled over into the workplace. At least in my experience, that hasn't been the case. Maybe other people have different experiences, and perhaps it's the folks I'm around. But if you're cognizant of it, you understand it, you can really avoid a lot of drama, a lot of garbage, and I think that's really important to do. But anyways, I heading into work now, so got 10 minutes till it's basically showtime, so to speak. And let's see, it's like 10 miles till the exit. But so hoping I'm prepared enough for the quiz. I did, like I said, I did try to get some sleep, and I actually did get a decent amount, so I'm far more alert today. I mean, I had my standard cup of coffee, but it only kind of like enhanced my alertness as opposed to being like the crutch. But yeah, I don't know what else I have to say. I mean, it's another day of Nofap, and it's Wednesday, the 24th of February 2021, and 2 more days until the weekend. I think I'm getting paid on Friday, so I might actually just do like a Journey Out of Debt update video on that day. I kind of feel like I really haven't made much progress with that. Some of it's because, and this is why, if you're trying to get out of debt, and you got student loans or a car loan or whatever, like, it's really not a good idea to go back to using your credit card. But I had to go and use the credit card for a couple major expenses because I just didn't have the actual cash on me. It's probably why I need to try and sock away some money, like that whole $1,000 emergency starter fund. But yeah, I mean, I'll probably be talking about that more in detail on Friday. But what else? I don't know. Oh, I saw Alex's comment, and I'm assuming that that meant because I'm in a much better sort of state of mind, and maybe better rested, etc. That I'm looking better, because a lot of days I've obviously been looking beat down and very much expressionless, I guess. That's typically how I am. Most days is are you feeling? Oh, I'm just feeling dead inside. How about you? Most days it's just like that. Even if I'm making progress and stuff, I was constantly sort of thinking about well, maybe not always, not constantly, but the thought kind of crosses your mind of okay, where could I be, or what about this problem or this issue? Even things that just kind of constantly sort of drawing my attention and sort of annoying me, or whatever the case may be. But anyways, I don't think I have anything really groundbreaking to say. I mean, I may have this this evening, depending on how things go down, because I gotta figure out what they want me to do for work and who I'm working with, and I gotta figure out if anybody's been, I'll hear about it in my meeting, and I'll kind of know, if somebody did say something. Well, I'll definitely know. I mean, boss lady will bring it up, because we each have these one-on-one meetings, and it's kind of and it's almost funny in some sense, because she'll then ask us oh, anything new, or having any issues with any coworkers, or that sort of thing. And it's kind of if you're no, everything's pretty cool, everything's pretty good, I'm getting along with everybody, and it's almost like she's oh, come on, I want some juicy bits of drama, tell me more. It's almost like in Greece, where they're tell me more, and that sort of thing. Talking about what was it, John Travolta and Olivia Newton-John's, their characters, Summer, what happened, and etc. It's almost like that, because they kind of, I don't know, maybe when things are going just peachy keen, they feel complacent, or they feel they're not really doing anything. It's kind of if everything is running smoothly, the reality is you shouldn't be having to hear anything. It's when there's problems going down that obviously things are out of whack. If people are just working together, getting their stuff done, not I don't know, getting into arguments or having interpersonal conflict, then everything's, then it's like, okay, you're clearly doing your job, they're clearly doing their job. I don't know. I mean, the only things I could think of, honestly, would be last Friday I tried to crack some joke with a coworker, and I don't know if he took it the wrong way, because it had to do with his lab coat, and like there were some red smears on there, and I was like, oh yeah, it's it's kind of like, how like I joked around. I was like saying, oh, as looks like that's lipstick, like, oh, somebody's wiped their lipstick off on that, they just grabbed a coat and wiped it off like that and then put it back on there, not thinking, kind of a ha-ha sort of thing. But that's one. The other one was like yesterday when that female co-worker, she was kind of talking about how all these, all Asian cultures now, they have soy sauce all the time, and I'm part Mongolian and part Bengali, and I was like, but it's like, hey, whoa, I'm Asian, and we don't eat that sort of stuff. Like, how dare you? Didn't you get your sensitivity training and how to not like say that stuff or something like that? And I mean, they laughed, both of the girls, but those are only two things I could think of. If somebody was like, well, as he said this, so it would just, and it would sound like high school. Like, I'd be like, okay, fine, I'm not, you know what, I'm just not going to joke with any of you folks, sort of thing. Those are the only two things I could think of, which, I don't know. It's kind of like I've had conversations where I've, kind of mentioned some humorous incidents from, like, my past workplace, where, like, one of the things that I liked about working there was, and this, it was kind of sort of, it was a new experience at first. It was kind of like shocking, or like, wait a minute, hold on, you can joke at the workplace, you can have actual friends at work, like, because you go through what I went through in college, where there's all this relational aggression, and even stuff that's just passive aggressive and interpersonal conflict galore, and people throwing out all sorts of slurs, calling you an ist, or claiming you were a supporter of an ism, or just all that sort of like college stuff. And you go in the real world, and the folks who you would think would be like super super offended over jokes and humor, they're actually way more laid back, and they're cracking jokes and busting your chops, and you do the same back to them, and that sort of stuff. But then it's kind of like some companies, their company culture, it's almost like it's you gotta gauge it, because some, like I said, some companies, they have that culture where it's like you can crack jokes, and then there's the other one where it's like, if you say anything that was untowards, as covered in the manual, that is cause for being written up, and 3 strikes and you're out. So there's some companies like that where it's very much of that sort of nature. And I remember my first boss at the old job, he related a story of this other guy who had worked there, similar educational background as me, chemical engineer, and this guy had worked at one of the other like big name companies in the industry, one of the ones that makes a lot of the consumables and equipment. And he said that when that guy first started there, he couldn't joke with him, because the way that company was, it was like, I mean, to give you an example, it's kind of like they said, okay, you have 2 15-minute breaks and a half an hour lunch, each day. They would like literally start a timer the moment you like, you like walked out of the lab, the door closed behind you, to go on your break or go on your lunch. And they included the time it took to take your lab gown and your hair net or hair cover, and your shoe covers and gloves, all that, to de-gown, they included that time in your break time. So in reality, you probably only had like a 7 to 10 minute break, and it was like, you really couldn't. I mean, it was like actually more like it would be more like what, like a 5-minute break in reality. I mean, you practically had to sort of take your break in the gawning room and just like sit there and, okay, my 5 minutes is up, gotta head back, or else, the boss is gonna be mad. Or, you think about like a 30-minute lunch, okay, it's like more like a 20-minute lunch in reality, because 5 minutes to de-gown, 5 minutes to gown back up, that sort of stuff. It was like, yeah. And I groan at that, because it's like, I can only imagine. And it seems like, I don't know, the place I'm currently at has a bit of that, not to the extent of that other company, but definitely like a little bit more towards that. And so it's kind of like, you have to sort of like watch your timing, manage your time way more tightly. Even if like you're getting your work done, getting it done on time, effectively, efficiently, all that, still have to. And then, try to extend that into, how do you speak with your coworkers? How do you joke around? I mean, even the fact that I gotta think, oh wait, am I gonna hear about that one, joke I made, or one comment I made, or somebody, like, I have to think about it to a certain extent, at least up until the point where it just becomes second nature not to communicate with my coworkers like that. So, just rolling into the workplace now, and looks like the door might not be working, which might actually work to my favor. I think it's be like, oh, the door wasn't working, that's why I'm not here on time. It's like, convenient excuse. Try not to. I have to learn how to drive a little bit better with just one hand on the wheel, because I want to sort of adjust the parking. You know what? I'm gonna back up the car again and move a little more towards the right, because last time I parked like right next to the line. Ironically enough, somebody just had to park right next to me, and I had to crawl in through the passenger side door. And that was really annoying, because it was, I don't know, reminded me of some comedic skits on Mitchell and Webb, or on Conan, where we were like really closely pressed up to each other because the office was too small. But anyways, that's it for me right now. Again, I'll have to go through and figure out what day it is. I have so much other stuff going on, and haven't really thought about that. But thanks for watching, and I'll see you folks around. Thanks for the support, and so anywho, take it easy. See you folks around. Bye.